How do you prepare for a competitive tender process on a property development? Now, this is a key area that people underestimate, I think is the key phrase. I think people think they can go and just start working on site, they can bring on the architect, get some rough floor plans, get your planning through, and then once they've exchanged or shortly completed after, they can just get on site and start work. Well, that's what I thought when I started property investing, and I've made lots of mistakes along the way. Thankfully, it was on much smaller sites than I deal with today. I'm today on one of my mentees' client sites, actually, a 30,000 square foot office conversion. This is the kind of stuff we do ourselves. It's the kind of stuff I work with my clients on, and I help manage and project manage and deliver their projects for them, either in a completely hands-off way or working alongside them to train them up and mentor them to become a larger and more successful developer, be able to handle more development projects, to build a really extensive power team around them to enable them to deliver a bigger business. Obviously, we are on an existing site, so there's going to be a fair bit of noise around, but notwithstanding that, let's talk about the importance of kind of building up that power team and the work, the prelims done to build you towards that competitive tender process, where you finally choose your construction firm to do the work for you and you're starting to put a spade in the ground, so to speak. Now, it's hugely important to understand the number of people that need to be involved in a bigger site like this. There's a lot of consultants. You've got your architect, you've got your project management team, you've got your quantity surveyors, you've got your contract administrators, or it could be an employer's agent, depends what role you're employing them on, and you've got to work through a JCT contract finally with the end construction firm. Now, choosing that construction firm and getting a competitive tender, you would think it's like, when you haven't done these kind of sites before and you haven't been through numerous competitive tenders like I've been through, you won't probably appreciate how important that preliminary work is before you even go to the construction firms to get your price. Now, if you go, with a set of floor plans you've got through planning, can you price me on that? You're going to get wildly different prices. It's not like going to a car dealer and asking how much you're going to sell me that Ford Mondeo for, going to 5 different dealers and you're buying the same age car with similar mileage. The price you can gauge, and it's going to be within a very small band of pricing, depending on the condition. And it's quite easy to understand how much that Ford Mondeo is going to cost. What's going to happen to you if you just go with a set of floor plans and go, here, I want to build 10 flats. You're going to get wildly different pricing. The reason you're going to get wildly different pricing is because you've not prepared any specification, you've not done a QS report, you've not taken any of the risk out of the deal for the contractor. What's under the ground? What's the slab made out of? What are the walls made out of? Is it a steel structured building such as this? And you can pan up huge steels. What's the roof made out of? What's the acoustic elements of the walls? Is the insulation up to spec? Is there fire stopping in the walls? Is there windows? Are the windows broken? Do they need replacing? Do they need fixing? Can they be fixed? What's the topology of the outside ground like? Have you done a contamination survey to understand if you break into the car park under that tarmac, are you going to expose some nasties? What are the services going into the building? Huge problem with developments, or a huge area of risk for developments, is the incoming services, the gas, the water, the electric, the fibre, whatever it might be on that site. How much is that going to cost to install and bring into the building? Where's the nearest substation? On this site, we needed a whole new substation on site to deliver the electricity required for this deal. Now, obviously, we did a QS report beforehand and we got that price nearly right. We were a little bit under as it happened, but we managed to negotiate it within about 10-15% of what it was. So we planned for it. It was a little bit more than planned, but we've also had extra wins. We haven't had to upgrade the insulation on the ground floor, for example. So, it swings and roundabouts on the deal, and it's always push-pull on the budget, but 95% of the time you're almost bang on budget at the end if you've prepared well. If you haven't prepared well and done all of those reports and sometimes more, you're going to get tripped up, and your builder's going to price in the risk for, well, if you dig out the ground, there's going to be problems. Then we're going to assume no insulation in the walls. We're going to assume it's a steel frame building that's not strong enough to support the extra load. We're going to assume you need to replace the roof or make huge changes to the roof. We're going to assume the worst case. Some developers might miss it and go, we're a bit of a bodge job construction firm. We're going to under assume this, and then actually our trick is when we've got you and signed your contract, we're going to put a few provisional sums in our contract that says, if we find this, if we find that, here's a provisional sum, but it can change. What they'll then do is hit you with revisions. They'll hit you with changes, and there'll be costs for those changes. So that can be extremely risky, and a lot of those construction firms will price low to get the job, but then they'll price in constant changes throughout that they just happen to find that they hadn't put in the contract. They'll be very careful not to put it in the contract, and you won't know because you're inexperienced about all the kind of problems that can come up during a build. Don't do property development on a reasonably large scale if you haven't got the experience or the power team or the people working with you that can show you these kind of problems and cut them off before they happen. Now, I guess one of the important ways to do that is to start working with people around you, start bringing on the right team, the right experience that can help you get ahead of the game. Now, when you've done all that work, when you've done all of those surveys and reports, you've got your floor plans down, you've done your building control plans, you've fully priced up every inch of wall that needs plastering, insulating, painting, finishing, sanding, wires going up the inside of it. Once you've priced every inch of wire and plaster and paint, you'll have your own costings. Once you've done all those reports in a nice big package and you've got your own pricing from your own QS team, then you go to your construction firms into a competitive tender process because you've highlighted and shown them that this site is not risky. You've looked at absolutely everything. You've turned every stone over and there is no risk. That will mean that you get a better price from the job. You'll more than save the money on the fees you've spent with your consultants getting competitive tender process. As that competitive tender process then comes in, let's say you've got 3 builders pricing for the job. There might be, let's say, 200 items on their tender that you've said, you give them a form of tender, I want these 200 items priced against, so you give me a final price. And we thought of all these things. Here's 200 things we thought of that we need pricing for in that level of detail. When they price against that and you've got 3 set in front of you, it's very easy to compare. Now, because there's no risk, they'll all be pricing on exactly the same project. There is no questions. What about this? What about that? What about the insulation? What about the wall type? What about the roof type? You know, that all hopefully, as much of it as you can, is answered. Right? Notwithstanding the timescales, sometimes you've got sites you need to buy and complete on quicker, and you take a little bit of a higher risk, and you try and do as much of that due diligence work as you can before exchanging, then as much as you can before completion, and as much as you can before the tender process. Can't always do all of it. You know, on a big site like this, we probably did 70% of that before completion. So there was a few elements in the contracts that were at client risk. But you have to take a judgment on that in your own business, and it's better to take a judgment knowing where the risk factors are than just jumping in the deep end and not having a clue and getting massively caught out. So yeah, you've got these 200 items on your tender list, and you can compare the 3, right? This guy's high on windows. Why is he high on windows? Let's go and have a chat to him. Oh, well, I assumed that we needed to upgrade the windows. Well, we're like, well, no, we've shown you from the window report you didn't need to upgrade the windows. Oh, right, okay, so I missed that. Scratch out, same price as all the others. So what you end up doing is you're going between the 3 contractors and you're seeing the big high items on them. You're also looking for some of the low items. If they've missed something, you don't want it to kill them, because if they go bankrupt during the job, that's no good. So you want it to be fair. You've got to be fair with your construction companies. You don't mind the overhead and profit, which ultimately, if you've done all your prelim work perfectly, you should just be negotiating the overhead and profit with each construction firm. You shouldn't be negotiating anything else, because you've overturned that stone, you understand what the cost is. So it all comes down to taking away the decisions and the need for the contractor to think for themselves. You've done all the pricing, you've done all the consultants' work, you've done all the surveys, you're making their life easy just to price it. What's their hourly rate, what's their day rate, how long will it take them? Don't forget the schedule. Final thing I'd like to say is once you've negotiated down all these prices and gone between the 2 and sort of got them all down as far as you can, then you're picking the builder. Now, picking the builder is all about their track record, looking at some of their past developments, looking at their financial accounts, looking at their cash flow, looking at the number of deals they've got on, looking at their location, looking at the type of staff who are involved, looking at their health and safety. You know, when you walk around someone else's site, you'll get an immediate feel for the health and safety. Is it a clean site? Is it a safe site? Are they working with all the correct PPE on and hard hats? Are you being forced to sign in and give all that stuff as you come on the site? So you can choose the builder then on other reasons, not just price. Once you've kind of decided to work with that builder, obviously they'll be coming on site, and actually during the tender process those builders will be coming on site probably multiple times, and the more they come on site, it's also a good sign of how keen they are for the job and how diligent they are in their pricing and their work ethic. So you can then turn your attention to who you like to work with, who you trust, who's got the right track record and experience, and hopefully you'll end up picking the right developer first time. They're not going to go bust on you. I've had construction firms go bust on me, and replacing them is an absolute nightmare. So hopefully this video has been a heed of a warning. Hopefully it's been a breadth of experience I can share with you. If you'd like me to run your site, if you've got a problem site you'd like me to help take over and get back under control, if you'd like to grow your portfolio quicker so you're not stuck in the nitty-gritty of developing sites, you'd like my team to do it, we can come in and build your sites for you. You can get on working on your business, not in your business, finding more deals, doing more deals, and let my team go and develop them for you. I'll help you do all of that. I've learned from experience. I've done over 28 commercial to residential conversions and counting, I think 29 this year. And we've done it all before. We've seen it all before. We've messed many things up before. And I intend to not do that for you and take out a load of the risks that I've just told you all about. So I hope this video has been useful, helping you to learn how to prepare for a competitive tender process, to get your ducks in a row, all the consultants and work you need to do on your due diligence leading up to a site, right through to picking the right construction firm. We haven't talked about JCT contracts, we haven't talked about timescales, but don't forget to make sure you're not just negotiating on price, you're also negotiating on time. If one guy can do it in 2 years, that's no good if all the others can do it in 12 months. So there's lots of different things to consider here, but hopefully that's a whirlwind tour of preparing for competitive tender. My name is Nicholas Woolwork. I'm the CEO of Red Brick and propertyforum.com. If you want some free educational advice, tap into a network and community of fellow like-minded property investors, do log on to propertyforum.com, get stuck in and ask your questions. If you'd like me to mentor you and work with you on your client sites, or help rescue your site, whatever the situation you're in, I'd love to work with you. Do reach out at nicholaswoolwork.com/mentorships. And yeah, I hope to reach out and see you soon. Don't forget to subscribe and join me on the journey of many more videos like this. And I'd love to hear your comments. Please do comment in the comments below. I want to see what you're doing, what you're up to. Hopefully I can help out and reply. I do try and make an effort to reply to every single comment. Look forward to seeing you on a video very soon.